As a fisherman and a chef, it was a big change for me. Being not really landlocked in Cleveland, but we were on the lake, so I didn't have the saltwater access, and I would say 50% of the fish that I learned down here I never even heard of when I was in Cleveland. So it was a really good opportunity for me to say, I want to learn to saltwater fish, but I really would like to eat everything I catch, which I started doing and probably shouldn't have ate some of it. So it was really a big change for me coming from Cleveland, but it opened up my culinary career quite a bit because I had more things to work with. It's important to myself and my guests. I think that when we know where things come from, we can get a better idea of the whole meaning behind it. There's so many farm to fork movements that aren't legitimate, but when we start talking about hook to fork, it's a little bit easier to track that these days when we're talking about people who are out fishing. And we do have systems that are being developed for that right now, so that's great to know that. And it's sourcing for my restaurant. I want our guests to know that everything we do, I want them to see me at a farmer's market, I want them to see me on a boat, and that's why my business has been here for 7 years, because they respect that. I think you always need to ask where your fish comes from. I think it's very important if you're at a restaurant, you ask your service staff, where is this from and how is it caught? That's the other part of it. It's like part two of the big thing that we've gotten to. We've gotten through part one, but now part two is asking about methods. We have slavery issues with fishing boats. We have so many different things that are going on. So, at a grocery store, if they don't answer you right away, that they don't know that. And at a restaurant, for sure, after a couple conversations, you should know. And I think that when we talk about sourcing, that's one thing. It could come from a very legitimate area, but when you talk about how did they actually handle what I'm eating, it's another story. And you could have great soil and great grounds and really, really happy farmers that are still just feeding their animals different things, or they're feeding their fish different things, because aqua farming and farming now are pretty much the same thing. I mean, we got to be worried about a lot. So I think it's very, very important that you ask where it came from and how it was caught, the methods. The three things that we discussed are the three things that are so important to me, which is invasive species. We have to do our best to eliminate them. And as I mentioned, lionfish, it's going to take a lot of work, but it should be the next fish stick on our menu for our kids to say, I hate lionfish. And I also believe that, the wild fisheries are still starting to lose a little bit of steam, because we're looking at farm raised, we're looking at invasive, but we have to remember there's families who have fleets of boats that catch wild fish that's sustainable. And then, aquaculture, aqua farming is so important to the future of the world. We're not going to be able to fish these waters that much longer. Pollution, microplastics, I could go on for days about that, which is a new thing that I'm learning more about every day. But, I want people to start doing a little more respect for that. So I wanted to give you guys all a choice this evening of what you can really enjoy from each one of those categories.